Hey guys, it's Rekt Capital and welcome to today's video update. We're going to be talking about a historic moment, a cycle-defining moment that Bitcoin is on the verge of making. This is potentially history in the making, and not only has Bitcoin actually broken past a long-standing resistance dating back all the way to mid-December of 2017, but here's the cycle-defining moment that I'm talking to you guys about. It's the 10,800 level on the monthly chart. So now Bitcoin is in a very interesting spot in its price action in the context of its entire price history dating back to the previous bull market of 2017. And the cycle defining moment that I'm talking about is the monthly close above 10,800, because now is that moment, and we haven't seen that moment in almost 1,000 days where we might legitimately get a monthly close above 10,800 for the first time since December 2017. And that's saying something. That's saying something because the last time we got a monthly close above this level, this is when we had peak euphoria, peak over-optimism, over-exuberance, belief in the market, in a new paradigm that pushed and pressed price to new all-time highs of 20,000. That's the sort of emotion, the combustible, extreme emotional elements that really drove price to unsustainable levels, to a new all-time high. And now we are in a similar moment. We're trying to close on the monthly above this level. And the last time we closed above this level, well, history speaks for itself. So this is a cycle-defining moment for Bitcoin. And whatever happened in the past, over the past few months in this year of 2020, there's been a lot going on, a lot of volatility. It's very difficult to really just say that this is a bear market and this is a bull market. But make no mistake, once we get a monthly close above here, then it's a very strong confirmation for a bull market. No questions asked, because this is a very key resistance area. And of course, there are a few more historical supply zones where we tend to have a lot of historically transacted volume and sell-side pressure from sell-side orders in the order book, but those levels are 11,400. You can make a case about 12,000, 14,000, whatever the case may be. At this point in time, where price is trying to establish a support above a very key level of resistance, this is the most important thing that we really need to establish. Bitcoin really needs to break above this and close here, because that's going to be a cycle-defining moment. And this would probably be a very important confirmation for a new bull market, because remember, a monthly close here would be a close on a higher price level compared to this region. So we'd essentially have a higher high, a first higher high since mid 2019. So that's also another statistic for you guys. That's also something to be very positive and bullish about. But we have to remember that we have to see this close, because remember, we've seen FOMO wicks past this level before. Lots of FOMO wicks. Many people get exuberant at this price point. Many people think that we are already in a bull market. Many people are diving into Bitcoin, buying, FOMO buying. They're already extremely optimistic about Bitcoin making new all-time highs this year, which is very unlikely, by the way, but that's maybe a topic for another day. But in any case, lots of FOMO is going to be happening. And indeed, this has been a FOMO-driven rally after so many weeks of consolidation. So it's all about this rally not ending up as a transient rally, because if this really is just FOMO-based and people are really getting euphoric, whereas most of the market isn't as bullish on Bitcoin and they're prepared to actually sell Bitcoin and sell their positions from a lower price point where they accumulated, so for instance here or here even. If bargain buyers indeed start to sell off their positions like they did in these portions of time, in these portions of price action, in these moments in time, then we might indeed get that FOMO wick where late buyers are getting really trapped in their positions, whereas early buyers are starting to take profits. So really important. This close is a cycle-defining moment. I can't stress that enough. It really is an important moment, and it's fantastic for Bitcoin, for all of us as investors, to be in this moment to see and witness that this could be truly a historic moment. And I'm very eager. I'll be watchful of this monthly close. Only a few days left. But saying that about Bitcoin, we have also a lot of reason to be bullish on Ethereum, because remember, Ethereum broke past a 400-day diagonal downtrending trendline resistance. This red downtrending diagonal is what got broken. This was a 400-day resistance point that was weighing down on price and rejected price. It rejected Ethereum even to, on 2 occasions, it had a strong retrace from this point. Of course, this is a confluent resistance area that I'll talk about in a second, but in any case, this resistance area even drove price to significant lows for Ethereum. Significant lows of outsized ROI for any buyers that really bought here. But this is a trend line that has recently been broken after Ethereum managed to break out from a continuation pattern in which Ethereum consolidated in for a 50-day period. So a 50-day bull flag consolidation period translated into a 35% rally. So we've broken past this 400-day resistance line, and that's why this is exactly what happens, guys. Whenever you break a multi-week, multi-month downtrending resistance, you see strong rallies like this one. And now we have to focus on this horizontal resistance, an even more formidable resistance level, which is the 700-day resistance. This is the top of the macro ascending triangle. So breaking past this point would indeed be a very important bullish confirmation for Ethereum as well. And we're only a few days away from the weekly close, because a weekly close above this level would be a vital confirmation. Of course, a monthly close is even around the corner, even sooner. The monthly close will come sooner than the weekly close. It just happens to be that way this month of July. But in any case, we want to see a higher time frame confirmation for Ethereum as well as Bitcoin. But in this case, we're looking at Ethereum, and we'd like to see a higher time frame confirmation for Ethereum above the top of this macro ascending triangle. And we'll probably see a rally towards the 360 level. But why am I not getting too bullish on Ethereum just yet? Because we have a different structure that we really need to focus on when considering Ethereum. And it's a structure that has plagued Ethereum for many, many years now. Even prior to the bull market of 2017, or rather the euphoric stages of that bull market. Because you can see here that in early 2017, mid 2017, we saw the initial phases of the bull market and then a strong retracement from, look at this guys, the 360 level. So that's the top of the channel. The bottom of the channel is 160 and the top of the channel is 360. So you guys can see this $200 channel for Ethereum, and we've just seen price consolidate here every now and then, predominantly in the period after the bull market of 2017. So a breakout past this region has translated into phenomenal buy support from buyers, from FOMO buyers, and this has translated into a lot of euphoria. So a breakout past this point would be fantastic. A higher time frame confirmation above 360 would be fantastic, because remember guys, if we just drag this across history, let's look back and drag this across history. You see FOMO wicks all the way to 420, a FOMO wick here to 400, a FOMO wick which only just tapped 360. You can see that it was a picture perfect rejection from 360 right over here. And it's very important to notice that there are FOMO wicks. People are really trying to jump the gun and feel that it's already a confirmed bull market. But much like Bitcoin, in the previous chart here on the monthly, FOMO wicks. FOMO city, guys. FOMO city. And that essentially is the junction, the roundabout before Rekt City. My hometown of Rekt City. But in any case, guys, 360 is the point where we need to break out past this level so that we can really enjoy that new bull market. So yesterday's video is very true in the sense that Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Litecoin are on the cusp of a new bull market. But we need to have that confirmation, because if we don't, then it'll just be a cusp. We'll only be on the cusp of a bull market. So a confirmation is really important to truly just confirm we are entering into a new cycle. So a cycle defining moment for Ethereum as well, because even if it successfully retests the top of this ascending triangle, it needs to break past 360. And even if we do manage this successful retest and price springboards to 360, it is very possible that we'll see price even overextend past this level to as far as 420, to even as far as 400, to even the higher 300s. But what's so important is that confirmation that we get a weekly close above that level. And that would truly be a good signal for further upside, rather than overextension in the form of euphoria and over-optimism prior to a confirmation. So I hope I got that clear. I hope I just drove that point home, because it really is all about confirmation at this point in time. And speaking of confirmation, we've broken out of a multi-month pattern for Ethereum BTC, and it even broke past this very key level, which is what I was watching for in terms of beginning a new trend. So essentially speaking, Ethereum BTC has now begun a new trend, and pulling back towards this level would be fantastic if buyers are lucky enough for that to happen, because we've already seen a retest over here. So if that does happen, then buyers have reason to be ecstatic in a moment of fear, because of course, if we see a retrace to this point, that would be a fearful moment for many people. People will actually experience a lot of pessimism at that point in time. So no need to be pessimistic, but indeed that would be a fantastic opportunity if buyers are lucky enough for that opportunity to arise. Speaking of Litecoin, because we've covered Bitcoin, we've covered Ethereum, now we should cover Litecoin. And this is the chart that I shared with you guys yesterday. So if you want to have a look at that video, check it out in the top right hand corner, because I spoke about this chart in a bit more detail, but by and large, in short, we've broken out of the multi-month accumulation range, the longest to date in Litecoin's history, because this range right over here, this $8 range, is very important for Litecoin. And we've broken out from here, and we're going to challenge for this downtrending resistance trend line dating back to mid-2017. We're going to challenge for this resistance, and breaking past this point is going to be also a cycle defining moment for Litecoin. So that's something I'm going to be watching for, because already we are 18% up since the breakout from the accumulation range. Litecoin is pulling back a little bit, but just insofar to test this level as a new support before springboarding up to test for that really important point. So Litecoin is on the cusp of a new bull market, on the cusp of a new bull trend, very much like Ethereum is. But of course, Ethereum does have a little bit more ways to go, and Bitcoin is very much in the balance. It's very much in the moment that it needs to confirm above 10,800. So Litecoin is a bit of a laggard here. It is lagging behind Bitcoin. Ethereum even more so. So Litecoin will potentially rally an additional 6% towards this region right over here for an important test for the trend. And speaking of Litecoin and its BTC counterpart, if we look at the quarterly chart for Litecoin BTC, we'll notice a very crystal clear situation for Litecoin BTC's price predicament. So a sideways channel, very simple TA guys, a sideways channel whenever Litecoin dips to the downside. So if it produces a downward wick below the range low of this channel, like so, every time we see a downward wick below, that's an outsized buying opportunity for investors, at least historically speaking. This is where investors manage to get the best bang for their buck, the highest ROI, when we consider rallies for Litecoin BTC. Every time investors would offload their position in this period, so upside FOMO wicks beyond the top of this range high of the channel, this is where investors would get the biggest bang for their buck in terms of return, actually confirming that return from the bottom of the channel and even below the channel. So this is where we see an area of historical supply distribution. This is where we see an area of historical accumulation and demand. So people buying here and selling here, they've had a fantastic rally. They've had a fantastic trade. So of course, extreme emotions are gonna give you good entries and give you outsized, overextended exits beyond the channel. But what I want to focus on here is the channel itself, the 271% channel of essentially being conservative. And historically speaking, if buyers bought at the bottom of this channel and then sold at the top of this channel, a very conservative swing trade by all means, really, then they'd be in profit for a 270% swing trade. But of course, if you want to be a bit more extreme about it and really buy the fear or even really buy the euphoria, then of course you have these wicks to base your judgment and TA on. But in any case, every April is when Litecoin managed its first peak against the top of this channel. April 2015, right over here. April 2017 was the first peak at the top of this channel. We managed to hold these highs for a while, even wicking almost down to the bottom of the channel. But essentially speaking, this was distribution before we dipped again. We retraced, corrected, and then rallied again for another April peak. The first time we peaked at the top of this channel was April 2019. So every April, every 2 years is when we see Litecoin BTC manage its first peak against the top of the channel. So what can this potentially say to us going forward? Remember guys, this is the 3-month chart. So this is the quarterly time frame. So these candles represent 3-month periods, quarterly periods. So it's nice to see how simple this channel is, but it will take a lot of time for Litecoin to rally all the way towards the top of the channel. And just looking by standards of history, 6 months is when it took for a reversal from here to here to a peak of April 2017 around here. So that was 6 months. Will we see a 270% rally in the next 6 months or so? I think that would be fantastic, of course. But is that realistic? That's the whole thing. Is that realistic? It's very difficult to say. Of course, just looking at this tendency of Aprils, you could make an argument for the top of this channel being revisited by Litecoin in April 2020. But that could very well still be considered to be an exuberant estimate, because remember guys, we see first peaks on the top of the channel every 2 years. So in fact, if we just said April 2021 is where we'd see the top of this channel become revisited, then I think that would be the most conservative estimate to say. But having said that, we have to bear in mind that most of this time is spent at the highs for Litecoin or on the retrace. So on the retrace over here, we saw multiple quarters in a row bring price down all the way back to the bottom of the channel, and we saw multiple quarters hang about at these highs before having multiple quarters of a retrace once again. So that's just something that I'd like to make clear to you guys, that the retraces and the hanging at highs before inevitable distribution, this is what really takes up time in this chart, because you can see here that the rebounds from the bottom of this channel, this is actually a fast ascent. So in any case, what I'm looking for, Litecoin BTC, all in all, is for a potential downward wick into the liquidity pool below this channel. This is what has historically provided outsized returns for Litecoin BTC. If we are lucky as buyers to get that, that would be fantastic. But overall, this is what I'm watching for, a 270% rally from Litecoin BTC from the bottom of the channel towards the top, and being open to FOMO, euphoria-based wicks past this channel top. In any case, guys, that's about it for today's video. Remember that we are in the initial portion of the new money flow cycle. We've seen mid caps and low caps really take center stage over the past few weeks, and now we're seeing a cycling of that capital back into Bitcoin and large caps, which is why I've been focusing on Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Litecoin in my recent videos, because this is where we are in the money flow cycle. So bear that in mind. Risk taking is the predominant approach, but only in these areas, only in these assets, because this is where we are in the money flow cycle, taking longer term positions or swing trading positions in these altcoins, which have arguably and reasonably saying overextended themselves in the previous weeks, in the previous alt season. It's really important to just be cautious about these altcoins going forward until we see a money flow cycle, until we see the money flow start to trickle down to these altcoins, because that's essentially what's going to be happening once Bitcoin and Ethereum form a range, a new range, but at the moment they are still in their uptrends. So bear that in mind. Please consider dropping a like if you enjoyed the video, and of course subscribe to the channel for more videos like this in the future. I'm Rekt Capital, and I'll speak to you in the next one. Speak soon.